Hi everyone. So today's topic is SLI, SLO, and SLAs. So we will go over what is the meaning of these terms and how do we define these terms for our systems. SLI, SLO, and SLA. So generally these are used and must know terms for SRE and SWEs also. And this defines how performance of a system is measured in general. So as an example, so starting with the definition of these. So what is an SLI? So SLI is a service level indicator. So if you write it down, so it is a service level indicator. So as the full form explains, this is something which will indicate how the service is performing. So we will take an example. So let's say, for example, we have our laptop out here, and here we have opened the Gmail tab, and inside Gmail we have this compose email button. Now as you can see, like the word view here, so there is the user here who's gonna use Gmail, and at the back end there is a team of the company, in this case Google, but any company which has created the product. So this is a team. Now the user can use Gmail as he wants. Generally the function is something like this. You click on compose button, a pop-up pops up which lets you compose your email, and you write your email and you send it. Now there can few things which can happen. So when a user clicks on this button, what can happen is that this pop-up can appear within a very short duration. Let's say it can appear within 10 milliseconds, or it could take, in some cases, a really long duration. Let's take an extreme example. Let's say it could take 10 seconds also. So if this pop-up take 10 seconds, that's kind of a broken experience for the user, because he will think like the button is not working. Even if it takes 2 seconds, like he will be frustrated that this is taking too long of a time. So that's a kind of a bad user experience. The system is not performing up to mark. Also, what can happen is when he clicks on the compose button, the pop-up may not appear at all. It might just error out, it might just crash, right? So that is another performance attribute which is going to impact the user. So now as you see, like the end user is using the Gmail product. Now this team which has built the Gmail product, how would they know whether how the end user is experiencing the product, right? So as you can say, like as you know the development cycle, so they have written the code to build the Gmail product, right? And they've shipped it. Now they want to know how the product is performing in real world, and how are the users happy with it or not, for example, right? So one way they can know whether users are liking the performance of the system, or like system is performing well or not, they can conduct surveys, right? So they can go and ask users, hey, when you use Gmail, was it fast, did it work? But as you can already see, like this is an approach which is gonna cost money. You to conduct surveys, it's a slow thing. You cannot conduct surveys very frequently, and your sample size is also gonna be small. So this is like a very dinosaur age way of finding whether Gmail is performing well or not for the users. So instead of that, what this team, what they can do is they can define few SLIs. So SLI is service level indicator, which indicates how the service is performing. So for example, they can say, hey, I want to measure the latency of the compose button, right? After a user clicks on the button, how long it takes for the pop-up to happen. So I want to measure that. I also want to measure availability. Availability is that when a user clicks on the compose button, whether the pop-up at all appears or not, right? So this team, what they can do is internally, they can define, let's say, these two metrics or SLIs, that hey, this is the way we are going to measure the performance of our this user journey. Now, so that is what is called as an SLI, service level indicator, like what indicates the performance of your service from user's perspective. So now, so far so good, right? Now, so you have defined that you want to measure latency, you want to measure availability. Now the next thing this team needs to define is how they are gonna measure it, right? So that is mostly technicalities at this point. Like, as you know, they have written the code for the Gmail, right? So they can put logging statements in this code. For example, I mean, a very dumb way to do that is like when a button, when a user hits the compose button, they can create a log statement with the timestamp. And when the pop-up appears at that time, they can, within the pop-up code, they can put another log statement, which will be like log statement with timestamp. So different, taking a diff of these timestamps, they would know like how much time the pop-up took to generate. There are obviously much better ways of doing this. This is a very fundamental way to do it, but these days there are multiple frameworks which can do this on much better ways. So at the end of the day, this team is gonna put some annotations or some instrumentation in your original product code to know how much time the pop-up is taking place. So that is how they are gonna. So first step is they have defined what they want to measure. So that is step number 1. Step number 2 is they are gonna figure out how to measure it technically. So they have figured it out. Similarly, for availability, they can put a log statement that okay, the button was clicked, and then when the pop-up appears, they can put a button log statement that it appeared successfully, or they can put another log statement if it crashed in their try catch block. They can put a catch exception. So now they have resolved how to measure it, right? So now once they have resolved how to measure it, these are smart people, so they can do like the technical implementation of it easily, so they can code it up, right? Now internally they are getting the data for every user, how much time the compose button click is taking, and whether it is working or not for every user, right? So that is the data they are getting. So now the third step is what do they do with this data, right? Now so here if you see like at the ground reality, what is gonna happen is let's say in the case of Gmail, let's take an example. Let's say there are 1 billion users of Gmail, right? So 1 billion is a lot of data they are generating. So not all 1 billion are using Gmail at the same time, but let's assume like 1 billion people are using Gmail over 30 days. They have 1 billion people using Gmail, and on an average on one day they like 1 billion by 30 people are using Gmail. So whatever, some X number of people are using Gmail at a particular timestamp, etc. So internally what they're gonna see is a graph like this. So this is the time axis, and this is the y-axis is the latency, for example, for the first metrics, right? So what they're gonna see is, let's say this is a 30-day interval. So this is January 1 and this is January 30, right? So let's take it event by event. Let's say some particular user used Gmail on, like, let's take this date, January 10th. So some user used Gmail on this date, and he took, let's put 100 millisecond, 200 millisecond, 300 milliseconds, 0 millisecond. Let's say he took 100 milliseconds for his pop-up page to appear. Another user used Gmail on the same day. For him, it took 50 milliseconds. Why? Because the load could be light. Maybe the second user used the Gmail at the night time when there are not a lot of users and a lot of Gmail servers are free. There is no queuing inside Gmail servers and they are able to quickly respond. Network traffic is light at that time, so it took 50 milliseconds. But when it is peak hours, it took 100 milliseconds. Why? Because network could be busy, the servers could be busy, they might be queuing the requests. So right, so difference can happen due to technical reasons. So another user took 50 milliseconds, the third user took 150 milliseconds. Why? Again, because of some reason. Some user took 300 millisecond, right? Again, some reason. Similarly, so as you can see, within January 10 there is going to be a distribution, right? So people are gonna take up time. It's gonna fall on this y-axis of January 10, but so different, each dot for each user, so the dots would keep on appearing, right? So that is on a particular day how the data is gonna look like. Now you can easily imagine, if they are measuring it for 30 days, how is that gonna work? So for every day you are gonna get these kind of data points basically, right? These kind of data points for every day. So that is the data the Gmail team would have after they have done this step number 1 and 2. Now what do they do with this data? So now they can easily and clearly see how the users are getting the performance out of the system. Now they can set up targets on this, that hey, as an example, as a very dumb example, hey, I want the maximum time anyone takes for this functionality is 300 milliseconds, right? So they can set an upper bar here that 100% of the users should take less than 300 milliseconds. They can say, hey, this is my target, I want to achieve that, this is my target. And we will get to this point, like how this is set up and what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. But as an example, they can set this target internally. So this is now the moment they set up this target, that becomes your objective. So this is your objective, goal, objective, right? So now this is your SLO, service level objective. Gmail team's objective here is that 100% of requests should take less than 300 milliseconds. So this is a very simplistic example. Similarly, for let's keep it actually on latency only, so it's easy to understand just one metrics. So that is what is called a service level objective, right? Now the example which I gave here is pretty simple. They can actually set up, there are multiple ways to set up this target. For example, they can also set up that the average latency. So how do you calculate the average latency? So basically you take an average of all the people, right? So average latency should be less than 150 milliseconds, for example. That is another way to set up your target, that of all the users who are using Gmail, the average latency should be less than 150 milliseconds. And obviously these apply over a time period. Like for example, here we are measuring it over 30 days. So over a period of 30 days, if we take an average, so this is your 30-day data. So if you take an average over 30 days, it should be less than 150 milliseconds. And over 30 days, 100% of your requests should be less than 300 milliseconds. So these are the two simple enough metrics. But as you can now imagine, like you can define percentiles here. So you can draw a line here, right? You can draw a line here, and the Gmail team can say, hey, 99% of my traffic should be less than 200 milliseconds. So what does that mean is that, hey, 99%, so some traffic I am okay if it goes beyond than 200 milliseconds, the 1% of traffic, but 99% of my traffic over 30 days should be less than 200 milliseconds. They can also define 95% of my traffic should be less than 150 milliseconds. And they can keep on doing that, like 90% of my traffic should be less than 100 milliseconds, right? So you can define your targets based upon percentile. They can, in their final service level objective, they can either choose one of them or a few of them. For example, the general things with latency people generally choose is 99.9. I mean, depends upon context to context, but as an example, someone can choose 99.9 target, 95 percentile target, and 90 percentile target.